All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun. And today we are talking about my experience, my recap of my very first D&D one shot. I'm calling it a one shot because I didn't really know what else to call it. Because I was uh my regular campaign has starts and stops where people take over and they start their, they continue their campaigns. And so I'm considering the campaign that I do videos for my main campaign. But I was told, I could come to the games for another campaign. All I needed to do was come up with a level 3 character. And so I went and I'm just, if anybody knows me, I'm a ball of nerves and anxiety. And I had a level 3 cleric made, and basically spent that entire time one trying to figure out what was going on in this story because this is a campaign that had been going on well without me, and I didn't have any extra knowledge going in other than who my what my character was, and I had a very admittedly like thin grasp fully on what I needed to know to be a cleric. I thought I did. I think I thought I had a baseline, but I really didn't. I just wanted to go to D&D so bad. um, but yeah, I was playing story catch up, figuring out my character. Um, and to be honest, even by the end, I I really should have done a recap for that because my notes weren't very good because I couldn't take them. I was again still so busy trying to keep up. So when we actually came back to this campaign, it was going to be the last. It was going to finish up an arc in that campaign, and then next game that I go back to will be the regular campaign. So I was there and ready, and I had my character ready, like pretty much figured out. I was confident going into this game, but it was going to be the last one. And so I was just going to call it a one shot. And I still didn't have a full grasp of the story that was going on, other than my character is named Grieg Hoos. He is a level 3 cleric. And that's about it. I'm gonna. I mean, I could tell you right now, I'm trying to role play as Greg House. I wanted to role play as Greg House, except they just haven't had a chance to be the character at all. Since it was just an all action, pretty much, set up for an action sequence, set up for a really great encounter with a vampire queen that got woken up in the previous session that I had been at that I didn't recap or really take any notes for. And we were in the astral plane, but we were in our physical bodies. Some of our group, though, was not. Some of them were in their astral bodies. It was wild and crazy, and there were ghosts, and I didn't know what was going on because I just couldn't quite grasp it. It was like right there. It was like as soon as I'd be paying attention, I'd have to like think about something that I was doing, and it was just sad for me to watch. Um, but I'm also I admittedly I'm having a hard time because I'm at that, I'm new and I'm not used to being at doing something, and especially with other people and not being like of a certain degree of capability. So it's just I'm not very comfortable like that. I don't know how else to say it other than I know this will pass. My big problem is knowing like what my modifiers are. I know what my spells do. I know all kinds of stuff. But when it comes to like rolling and then checking my modifiers, I kind of panic because I feel like I'm holding up the game. Um, and it's frustrating is all. And I ride myself too hard. And anybody that's close to me knows that I do that. I don't let myself off the hook too often. But anyway, all that being said, all right. In this story, okay, one of the people that was integral to the story is gone, so it doesn't really matter, and I won't really cover it. She had a connection to this vampire queen, and we were hired. Our little group was hired by a guy named Herc, who was kind of like a Tyrion Darrington type from campaign 1 of Critical Role. He was a wannabe adventurer who wanted to have other people go out and have adventures for him, and he would like write them down, and you would get paid to basically do things that this guy could claim he did. um and we found ourselves in this situation that got way bigger than Herc intended, except he doesn't know yet. But suffice it to say that this vampire queen that got woken up can access the astral plane, and there was a lot of uh weird stuff that just doesn't seem possible. Like I said, there were people in their bodies, their physical forms in the astral plane. They hadn't left their bodies to get there, like Doctor Strange style, you know, or Professor Xavier, right? Going to the astral plane to fight the Shadow King, that kind of stuff. He leaves his body to do that. This, we were in physical form, except there were, like I said, there were other people that I believe were out of their physical form at the same time. This thing could do that to you, and it could change, but it was still the astral plane. And it was something that I should have caught on to, man. I was so busy focusing on other things that I, as a comic book reader for a long, long freaking time, should have remembered about the damn astral plane. But that'll come up later. Meanwhile, because I'm just trying to give you like an idea of what's going on. So this vampire queen can control like somehow at least short range astral plane travel, and she can clearly plane shift. And in her, she's got her regular body, and then there's her astral form, which is a susnack. I don't believe it's a real thing. I think it was made up for the campaign, but when I describe it to you, it'll probably sound familiar to some people. Which it's a flying eel made of shadows, and it has spines and a human face in its astral form. It's probably familiar to other things. I have my monsters guidebook, but I have not looked in here or had the time really today to double check that. But it's pretty crazy, that idea of this giant flying eel made of shadows flying in the air. When I knew that's what we were up against in this this session, uh, boy, oh boy, was I thinking like this is I'm level 3. Um, but I'm not by myself. We did lose one of the characters or one of the players this week, but we gained. Well, we have Ziggy's back. Ziggy Stardust is back. He's playing the same character as he is in the main campaign, and probably just because it's easier, probably just because it's simpler. But Ziggy is in this. We have a barbarian named Zimplex Earth Eater. He is a dwarf. Um, we have Henry, that dwarf is a barbarian, by the way. Um, we have Henry, who, for the life of me, I apologize right now to the player that's gonna listen to this. He's the guy that got me to go to the games, to his game, and for some reason I can't remember what Henry does, although he has guns. I know he has guns. And he has a real thing for Jenny. Jenny, I love you. I may not be a smart man, but I do know what love is. Um, but he's here. I'm so sorry, dude. And then you've got me. And we had spent time preparing for this. I got some holy water. I got 30 silver crossbow bolts. I got a magic weapon +1. And that's where we start off. We're in town and we're trying to figure out what to do. The barbarian receives a mote of certainty, which nullifies attacks as a reaction. It can nullify an attack as a reaction, but one time, and it has to be recharged at a temporal node. Um, Meanwhile, we go to Natalie the librarian to find info on vampire stuff. But we also have to decide whether or not we want to tell this Herc guy or not, because he's, the adventurer. He's the one hired us. Do we tell him what's going on, or not? Um, and as part of a plan, we decide to get some gold, take some of our gold, and hire 30 fighters. This is a port place, so there's lots of sailors. And with a nat 20, that's how many we got. We got a bunch of grizzled sailors with spears and harpoons to fight with us when we go to fight this vampire queen. And by the way, spoiler alert, like this actually ends this current arc, so there will be an ending to this. So a vampire queen will be fought in this session. Which we found out its name is Kira Shin, and it feeds off fears, but can't persist during the day because, of course, it's a vampire. So we talk to Herc, who freaks out. He's like, "This is too much. This is too big. This is not what I wanted. I just wanted simple little adventures. This is too much." And he basically didn't want anything to do with it. Um, but we go back there. And believe me, it took a long time to get here, folks. So I'm skipping to where we can kind of just cut to the chase this one shot and get to the fun meat of it. So we get back to, because we had to decide how to get in there and how we were going to travel and get the guys in and blah blah blah. So meanwhile, we finally get everybody into this place, into this like ghostly green room, which also got talked about a little too much about why it was green, but that's okay. But the decision really was made was they wanted to move the body, the sarcophagus with Kira Shin's body in it, out into the sunlight. Take all the men we have, lift this giant stone sarcophagus out of there, and let it die in the sun. That would hopefully kill the body. Except there's this black ooze that's just in the sarcophagus. There is no body there. It is just this black ichor oozing out. They stab it, try to find, like, can it be killed that way? I drop a dab of holy water. It sizzles and turns red, but doesn't really do much. And they do take this thing out and put it out in the sunlight, which is soon going to be gone. This was a really close to sundown kind of situation that really started off really well. Like, I can't believe nothing happened on the way to get the thing out. And as soon as it hit sunlight, it fried the ichor and dried out, and there was nothing left. When we go back in, though, a door manifests. It's arched and wooden, has a brass handle, and it has like fey, like wild, like flora, fauna kind of carved into it. Um, and then, oh, I kind of lost my place here. We go back in, and there's like statues of us in terror. And then there's a stairwell that we can go up. So we decided to go up the stairwell instead of going through the door. Just go straight up, up, up. There were other doors along the way. We could have taken them. We didn't. We just wanted to keep going up the stairs further. We had all these people. We had 30 guys plus the 4 of us. And there was one of the doors had like fiends and devils at the top carved in, and we open the door, and it opens into like a big open sky filled with stars, just vast, like coming right out. And like that scene in Green Mile when they take John Coffey out and he just sees the entire sky, like think like that, right? And you can see the town in the distance. We're outside and we're on a balcony, but everything is distorted. And it's like when you look out at the town, like it's kind of close. Everything like that should be further away. Some of it is like there's like this artifact way up in the sky, like a satellite, except it's really close by. You can see it really close, but it's actually really far. So everything is distorted. Some things are close, almost like you could reach out and grab it. And there, standing at the edge of like the balcony, looking at the town, is this form, a female form. And she's wearing a gown, this form-fitting gown that's like basically made of blood. And Ziggy, he says, "We are here to free you." And the voice says, from above, a voice out of nowhere says, "I am free." And suddenly Susnak appears, the giant eel made of shadows, spines, and a human face. And then Zimplex the dwarf simply says, "Defend yourself!" Because he's the one kind of in charge of all the men, except we can only fit like 12 of them on the balcony. So we got another like, holy crap, that was like 16 go. How many was that? 18 guys that were like couldn't even make it in through the door. They were all just down in the hallway waiting for their turn, I guess, to come out. So there will be room if we all spill out eventually. Well, Ziggy casts Hex, and he uses an Eldritch Blast, which misses, passes right through it. Henry, meanwhile, is seeing something. He sees this girl that's very important to him. He yells out, "Jenny!" And he shoots and he's raging. He's a barbarian. That's right. He's a barbarian. And he's also got guns. I don't ask me. I wasn't there for character creation, so I don't really know how it works. But they do. And that's all that matters. And Kira Shin, the girl with the bloody, gown, she pulls her hair back from like behind, like imagine her just like looking forward, reaching her hands back, putting her hands at the, at the back of her head and pulling her hair apart. And as she pulls her hair apart, it's like her face goes from like the front to the back, and her face is now there looking at you. And she's looking at Ziggy, and she's like, "Father, we can be happy here." And Ziggy's like, he's having nothing of it. She's like, "You're just like all the rest." And she turns into a bat-like creature and starts fluttering away. Well, he manages to blast her, and she falls. The bat form falls down the side of the tower, not on the balcony, and hits the ground, taking some damage. And then Henry is completely pulled in. So our barbarian gunslinger, he's all wrapped up in an alternate, like the Susnak, the vampire queen, has basically got him in his thrall right now. He's seeing things. He's hallucinating. It's making him see things that aren't there, and making him do things that aren't there. And he doesn't see the balcony. He's not there. He's somewhere else. He's in Jenny's house. Jenny being this very important person to him. And they're not in the tower. They're off somewhere else. And he's trying to get her to come with, but she wants to taste him. And she bites him. And then he basically does the same. And he goes, he he basically gets his wrist squeezed so tight because he gets 4 points of damage on him. And in the end, he can't get past it. He can't. His rolls make it so that him and her end up like intertwining like a pretzel, where you don't know where one starts and one begins. And he's for all intents and purposes, it seems like he's becoming a vampire. And in fact, that's something we got to address, because I'm not sure if he's a vampire at the end of this or not. I mean, I think if you kill the vampire, some rules say, people with vampirism can be cured or something if they haven't gone all the way through the process. But it's all a bunch of vampire fiction bullshit, and we'll figure it out. But meanwhile, I'm missing like crazy. I get out my spiritual weapon, I miss. I put sanctuary up, it gets broken, and thankfully I wasn't hurt. In fact, I don't even know if I take any damage in this entire fight. Um, but I'm missing. Everybody's missing. We're all whizzing through this Susnack, man. We can't hit it for shit, man. Except guess who can? Guess who can? Well, because we got 30 fighters, we all got to roll twice, and we all if we had 2 chances to attack per player, so that was 8 potential attacks on this thing that we really if we got 3 or 4 per round, it was like it was a miracle, and I missed twice once, and so did another person in the same round. But the the actual hired soldiers, none of them, I believe, die in this fight. Were the best at it. They actually were actually taking this thing and hurting it, and trying to keep it like from attacking. Like there was a lot of us. I did like that we were keeping it pretty occupied with things going on. Meanwhile, what I did was I tried to take a shot at this green like light that was coming from the side balcony where the bat like little body of Kira Shin was. I missed on the first time, but eventually I hit it. Well, both Ziggy and Zimplex had climbed over the side of the tower. So they were down on the ground where the body is. And when I hit the green light, there's a flash, and suddenly they're back in the real, like the regular world outside the tower, headed in the town in the distance. I don't see where they went. I'm still in the astral plane. I'm still stuck there, and I can't see where Henry went. And I have no idea that he's been basically taken by this vampire queen and being enthralled and who knows what else. And it was really great. Actually, it was really cool that this was all happening at the same time. Um, but Susnack takes off towards the town and is ready to start feeding on everybody. Meanwhile, both Ziggy and Zimplex track down. They need to track down. Well, they're trying to keep the town, like calm, but everybody freaks out because they're basically telling him not to go to sleep because a vampire is going to come if like there's something coming here that's going to feed off your fear, but telling them just makes them scared. And so even though they won't be asleep, it'll still have plenty of fear to feed on when they get there. But they also go looking for the lighthouse keeper. I can't remember why. Again, this is other stuff I feel like that was going on that I missed out on. If not, and I was just taking notes, I apologize. But this lighthouse keeper has like this key to this thing, and it was really cool how this all finishes out. So I climbed down and I'm at the bottom now where the tower is looking out at the town, and this thing's flying. Except what what is told to me is that everything, the distortion is weird, and I'm moving fast and slow. Like it's weird that it seems like if I wanted to I could stretch and take long strides because the astral plane. And I realized in that moment that even though Susnack was far away from me, if I reached up and grabbed him, I could, and I do. So I suddenly become a titan in this altered astral plane state where I become Titan-like size and grab the Susnack by the tail and I grapple it so that it can't go anywhere. And then I have these soldiers. I try to hit it and I miss. But the soldiers, once again, I keep calling them soldiers, but the fighters that we hired, they all start pinning the Susnack to the ground, not making it so that it can't go any further than it is. And that continues for another round where we just hold this thing down and keep stabbing it and making sure it can't go anywhere. At the same time, they find the innkeeper, the lighthouse keeper, and it turns out that that's the body. Like when they try to like touch it, its flesh just starts coming apart. And I feel like I'm missing a couple of details, and I apologize so much. But that's the actual vampire queen's body. It falls apart, and the susnack is dead. And they basically cut the thing up like they would a whale because these are sailors, and that's the end of that. So even though like a lot of rolls were bad and I was trying to figure out my modifiers and shit like that, it was a real blast fighting a vampire queen, fighting this astral plane thing, and it really made me stretch my imagination. And I want to make sure that everybody that watches this that might have been at the table, right? If I show frustration, it's just because I want to do really, really good. And I just I always dive in with both feet, like both feet into the deep end or whatever I'm trying to say here. And anyway, I'm learning. I'll continue to learn. I'll get better. I'll learn my modifiers eventually, and I won't look so frustrated. And unless I rolled a natural one like I did last night, but that's okay. It happens. So anyway, that was this little one shot. I will be returning to this character eventually. I was told we'll be playing on. I'll be at level 4 this time, which just I think means I get a little bit of a health boost and I take some more spell slots. But outside of that, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one of these. Bye.